right, son. Job was over in 91. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. NATO has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. NATO has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. NATO has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. NATO has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. NATO has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. NATO has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. NATO has got to go. What do we want? Dismantle NATO. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Dismantle NATO. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Dismantle NATO. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Dismantle NATO. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Dismantle NATO. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Dismantle NATO. When do we want it? Now. When NATO is on the attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When NATO is on the attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When NATO is on the attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When NATO is on the attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. Get up, get down. There's an anti-war movement in this town. Get up, get down. There's an anti-war movement in this town. Get up, get down. There's an anti-war movement in this town. Get up, get down. There's an anti-war movement in this town. Get up, get down. There's an anti-war movement in this town. Get up, get down. There's an anti-war movement in this town. Get up, get down. There's an anti-war movement in this town. Get up, get down. There's an anti-war movement in this town. No war with Russia. Disband NATO now. 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 There's no war with Russia. Disband NATO now. No war with Russia. Disband NATO now. It's the number one threat in the world today. Pentagon and the CIA. The number one threat in the world today. The Pentagon and the CIA. The number one threat in the world today is Pentagon and the CIA. Number one threat in the world today is Pentagon and the CIA. Number one threat in the world today. Pentagon and the CIA. Number one threat in the world today is Pentagon and the CIA. Number one threat in the world today is NATO and the USA. The number one threat in the world today is NATO and the USA. Number one threat in the world today is NATO and the USA. What's the number one threat in the world today? NATO and the USA. What's the number one threat in the world today? NATO and the USA. U.S. out of other nations and our wars and occupations. U.S. out of other nations and our wars and occupations. U.S. out of other nations and our wars and occupations. U.S. out of other nations and our wars and occupations. U.S. out of other nations and our wars and occupations. U.S. out of other nations and our wars and occupations. U.S. out of other nations and our wars and occupations. U.S. out of other nations and our wars and occupations. U.S. out of other nations and our wars and occupations. No new war. 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 No new wars. No new wars. No new wars. No new wars. All right, these kids. Money for jobs and education and our wars and occupation. Money for jobs and education. 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 Money for healthcare and education. Money for housing and education. education.
End all wars and occupation.
Money for healthcare and education.
End all wars and occupation.
Money for jobs and education.
End all wars and occupation.
No justice, no peace. U.S. out of the Middle East. No justice, no peace.
U.S. out of the Middle East.
No justice, no peace.
U.S. out of the Middle East.
No justice, no peace.
U.S. out of the Middle East.
No justice, no peace.
U.S. out of the Middle East.
No justice, no peace.
It is 1:15. Thank you so much for everyone again for coming out. It's definitely a beautiful day and a great day to protest U.S. war. My name is Kim DeFranco. I'm with the Women Against Military Madness and the Minnesota Peace Action Coalition that helped initiate this rally. So let me introduce you to Sarah, who will be giving the opening statement.
Thanks everybody for coming. Great turnout. Thanks to our chanters. Thank you, chanters, Val and Josie. It's a tiring job, but you're doing great. Thank you. Thank you. I'm also with WAM, Women Against Military Madness. And as you know, we are here to mark the 78th anniversary of the U.S. support, obviously. U.S. over anti-U.S. wars and interventions around the world. August 6, 1945, the U.S. dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, almost utterly destroying much of the city. 3 days later, a U.S. bomber dropped another on Nagasaki. In all, up to 260,000 people were killed, and hundreds of thousands more Japanese died in the days, even years after, because of radiation, poison, and exposure. Let's hear it. What if I yell? That was something. So anyway, as a junior, the Union of Concerned Scientists recently moved the doomsday clock up to 90 minutes before midnight. That's the closest it's ever been. That's how concerned they are. And just in the last couple of weeks, several eminent medical journals who are not known, they are not known to be particularly political, but they also all wrote articles indicating that it's going to be a disaster if we do not abolish nuclear weapons. So there's a lot of understanding and fear that this is a terrible time, and of course things keep escalating, not only in Ukraine, but in Korea, the DPRK, where the U.S. is threatening and doing war exercises and sending nuclear ships, and also in all around the world. The U.S. continues to. I've read just recently that the U.S. is thinking about sending soldiers and sailors to accompany ships in Hormuz. So that would just be horrendous and obviously a direct attack on Iran. So we've got our work cut out today, and you obviously understand that, and most many people going by. So thanks for coming, and I'll turn it back to Kim, and then we'll go back to the chanting, and then have the speakers.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Yes. All right, and speaking louder. All right, so in the beginning, a lot of people in the U.S. were supporting that proxy war in Ukraine, but in a recent poll, over 55% say that Congress should not authorize additional funding to support Ukraine, versus 45% that still want it. So obviously, the dissent for this proxy war is going down. And 51% say that the U.S. has already done enough to help Ukraine, compared to 48% that relentlessly protesting against this proxy war, more people are getting disillusioned and want the war to actually the U.S. is stop being involved in the Ukraine war. And the other big scary news that has been going on is that they've been sending cluster bombs over to Ukraine. And from the folks who grew up with the Vietnam era know that the cluster bombs are very, very bad in many ways. So actually we have a card to send to the senators to have them urge them to stop sending cluster bombs. So if you want to stop the cluster bombs from the U.S. to Ukraine, at the Convention on Cluster Bombs Modifications ratified in 2008, it has been forced since 2010, resulting in cluster bombs being outlawed in over 120 countries, including the UK, France, and Germany. Cluster bombs continue to kill people long after they're dropped. They continue to kill long after they're dropped. The weapons sometimes remain unexploded for years until someone is disturbed by someone, frequently children. There's estimates that place a total of 500,000 global casualties, including children in Syria, Yemen, Afghanistan, Lebanon, the Balkans, and Laos. Too many people continue to suffer from incidents involving remnants of cluster bombs. So Minnesota has a long history of protesting against these weapons, beginning with the Lyndale Project in 1968 and continuing with the Alliance Action, which led protests from 1996 until 2011. Oddly enough, Alliance Tech moved to Virginia. So instead of laying the foundations of democracy, the U.S. government, are contributing to the death and destruction of innocent civilians. I implore you to stop the madness. And we do have cards that one of our man members, Carol's, walking around with, so please do sign it so we can send it to our senators, because they're supposed to be listening to us people. So, shall we continue with some more chants? All right, Yossi, take it away.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose wars?
Their war.
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 From Syria to Palestine, occupation is our crime. From Syria to Palestine,
Occupation is a crime.
from Syria to Palestine,
Occupation is a crime.
from Syria to Palestine,
Occupation is a crime.
from Syria to Palestine,
Occupation is a crime.
from Syria to Palestine.
Occupation is a crime.
Not another nickel, not another dime. No more money for U.S. war crimes. Not another nickel, not another dime.
No more money for U.S. war crimes.
Not another nickel, not another dime.
No more money for U.S. war crimes.
Not another nickel, not another dime.
No more money for U.S. war crimes.
Not another nickel, not another dime.
No more money for U.S. war crimes.
Not another nickel, not another dime.
No more money for U.S. war crimes.
Not another nickel, not another dime.
No more money for U.S. war crimes.
Money for jobs and education, not for wars and occupation. Money for jobs and education.
Not for wars and occupation.
Money for jobs and education.
Not for wars and occupation.
Money for jobs and education.
Not for wars and occupation.
Money for housing and education.
Not for wars and occupation.
Money for housing and education.
Not for wars and occupation.
Money for housing and education.
education. Not for wars and occupation. Money for housing and education. Not for wars and occupation. Money for healthcare and education. Not for wars and occupation. Money for healthcare and education. Not for wars and occupation. Money for healthcare and education. Not for wars and occupation. Money for healthcare and education. Not for wars and occupation. Justice, no peace. U.S. out of the Middle East. Justice, no peace. U.S. out of the Middle East. No justice, no peace. U.S. out of the Middle East. No justice, no peace. U.S. out of the Middle East. When Iran is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When Iran is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When Syria is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When Syria is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When Palestine is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When Palestine is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine. 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 What's the biggest threat in the world today? NATO and the USA. What's the biggest threat in the world today? NATO and the USA. What's the biggest threat in the world today? NATO and the USA. What's the biggest threat in the world today? NATO and the USA. What's the biggest threat in the world today? NATO and the USA. Money for jobs and education, not for wars and occupation. Money for jobs and education, not for wars and occupation. Money for housing and education, not for wars and occupation. Money for housing and education, not for wars and occupation. Money for healthcare and education, not for wars and occupation. Money for healthcare and education, not for wars and occupation. Money for healthcare and education, not for wars and occupation.
Speeches going. We have Ken Maury. He is a member of the Climate Justice Committee for Solidarity, Minnesota. He'll correct my pronunciation.
Hey folks, my name is Ken Maury, and I'm a member of the CJC, Climate Justice Committee, and SUDU for Solidarity. JA, that is a Japanese American Solidarity Organization. And let me just start off by noting that I'm damn glad to be here with all of you. My grandparents on my dad's side came to the U.S. from villages around the Hiroshima area. So it tickles me to be talking to others like yourself that condemn, as I do, the brutal crime of the first atomic war, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. While Hiroshima has a bit of personal flavor, something that gets me focused is the unending list, the listing of countries subjected to U.S. crime. Pick a continent, any continent. The U.S. government has intervened, sanctioned, occupied, invaded everywhere in the name of freedom, quote unquote. Yeah, right, freedom to explore and oppress is really what the government is all about. The U.S. government is all about. Nicaragua, El Salvador, Iran, Ukraine, Somalia, Korea, again and again and again. El Salvador, again, Indonesia, Palestine. The list is endless, just like the wars of the U.S. government. Given the frequency and duration of these interventions and the eagerness of the U.S. government for these interventions, it has led me to conclude these plans are not an accident, but part of a system. What are these wars about anyway? The undying thirst of profits for the fossil fuel industry, the military industry, the financial industry that funds them, to name the obvious. Profits for the few, misery for the many. That's what U.S. wars are all about. In closing, let me speak about what really focuses my attention. Those folks all over the world that are picking a fight with the U.S. government and their NATO partners. Let me just mention a couple and the recent news. It's cruel to see that Niger is kicking France out of their country. France was getting cheap uranium. Niger was getting desolate desert and lack of food, lack of health care, and lack of education. So the Niger people said, you've got to go. That's great. And it's happening all over the world more often. Locally, let me talk about my favorite anti-war organization, Anti-War Committee. They are leading the fight to defect from Israel in the fight for a free Palestine. So I encourage everyone to check out the Anti-War Committee and be part of the fight back against the U.S. interventions all over the world, right here in Minnesota. So, in closing, let me just say, when the people of the world are under attack, what do we do? When the people of the world are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When the people of the world are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
Thank you.
Oh, war with Russia! Disband NATO now! No war with Russia! No war with Russia!
Disband NATO now!
No war with China!
Disband NATO now!
No war with Iran!
Disband NATO now!
No war with Niger!
Disband NATO now!
No justice, no peace! U.S. out of the Middle East! No justice, no peace!
U.S. out of the Middle East!
No justice, no peace!
U.S. out of the Middle East!
No justice, no peace!
U.S. out of the Middle East!
No justice, no peace!
U.S. out of the Middle East!
No justice, no peace!
U.S. out of the Middle East! Michael Hughes, who is chair of the local Socialist Party USA. Michael, are you here? All right, Michael, take it away. Woo! Give it up to Michael.
Well, don't give it up to me. Sorry, I'm a tech guy. Deaths in his famous World War I speech said the following: the working class has never had a voice in the turning point. If war is right, let it be declared by the people. People will have their life. The Socialist Party USA, Syria, that are forced to fight against war, poverty or discrimination. Our comrade Che spoke wisely about the U.S. government, and it still holds today, mind you. And please bear in mind I'm just paraphrasing his words. He said, the government of the United States represents the finances of the United States, but this does not represent the masses of the United States, only to oligarchies, only their corporate needs. Look to use the government to assist in the exploitation of the workers and proletariat. They exploit them by dividing them, black from white, brown from black, men from women. These Two great men speak upon war, and I hear their words. I hear their words. As the government spends over $200 billion on their ordinance, 500,000 people in England. I hear their words. 11 million U.S. children face food insecurity. And I also hear their words that close to 300 million in the U.S. don't have health insurance. I hear their words when I read about all the ills happening inside and outside the United States. Families having to lose their homes due to bankruptcy. College graduates having to work 2, 3, sometimes even 4 jobs when they can't meet after graduation. Or even worse, having to go back in with their parents. I hear their words. The Journal of American Medicine released a report stating that health inequality and poverty is the fourth leading cause of death in the United States. Socialist Party USA will not support any more of U.S. imperialism, and we will not support any NATO expansion. Until the proletariat, the workers, working people of the world are free, we will only support and fight one war. That is the class war. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michael.
Chancing, Josie, do you have a chance, or is it Mel's turn?
Chance. All right, let's say NATO, the military alliance, and first corporate finance. That's first corporate finance. They destroyed Yugoslavia. They destroyed Yugoslavia. Afghanistan, Libya, Syria. Afghanistan, Libya, Syria. 1 million dead in Iraq. 1 million dead in Iraq. They fly us into every attack. They fly us into every attack. They steal the oil and leave dust. They steal the oil and leave dust. Their endless greed is killing us. Their endless greed is killing us. CNN, Fox, New York Times. CNN, Fox, New York Times. Lie about U.S. war crimes. Lie about U.S. war crimes. They lied us into every war. They lied us into everywhere. What the hell do you trust them for? What the hell do you trust them for? Black rock pussy on Wall Street. Black rock pussy on Main Street. Don't give a damn about Main Street. Don't give a damn about Main Street. They don't serve their bottom line. They don't serve their bottom line. While countless poor have to die. Around the world is military bases. Around the world is military bases. With news pointed right up in their faces. With news pointed right up in their faces. Russia's not your enemy. Russia's not your enemy. It wants security guaranteed. It wants security guaranteed. China's not your enemy. China's not your enemy. NATO threatens world peace. NATO threatens world peace. They only show hypocrisy. They only show hypocrisy. When they preach democracy. When they preach democracy. Lock up all our whistleblowers. Lock up all our whistleblowers. Give more power to warmongers. Give more power to warmongers. Got money for war but can't feed the poor. Got money for war but can't feed the poor. What the hell are we fighting for? What the hell are we fighting for? Say no to NATO. No to NATO. Say no to NATO. No to NATO. Alright. Alright, next thing we have is Zach Campbell. He's from the Party of Socialism and Liberation. He's going to China
infinite money and resources and like time to go towards ramping up imperialism and war and expansion in the Pacific. But I think today I wanted to take a more personal angle, and I wanted to really talk about my journey towards becoming a communist and, more importantly, the person I am. It was my time in China that showed me that, like, what a country for the people, by the people really means. It was the first time I ever experienced affordable housing. My apartment in downtown Chengdu, two-bedroom apartment, living room, bathroom, dining room, kitchen, the whole deal, was $100 a month. That is inconceivable here. It was the first time I was able to go to the doctor without worrying about incurring a lifetime of debt, without having to worry about being able to survive while paying off medical bills for the next 10 to however long it took. It was the first time I was really able to live a fulfilling life, free from the constraints that capitalism puts on us. The ruling class doesn't give a fuck about us, and it was my time in China that really made that apparent to me. These real-life examples of the power socialism has to uplift the working class changed me forever. It was China that proved to me that a better world is entirely possible through the leadership of the working class, and that the only thing stopping us from taking care of each other and protecting the planet is capitalism. Capitalism is the only obstacle that prevents us from creating a world where everyone is taken care of. And that if we want to create a future that is sustainable, that the planet can survive, the only way to do that is through the destruction of capitalism and the implementation of socialism. It is this very reason why the ruling class and the politicians they finance will stop at nothing to undermine the People's Republic of China. It will go as far as starting a third world war and risking total nuclear annihilation to protect their profits. China's existence inspires revolutionary hope that another world is possible, free from the oppression that is placed on us by the capitalist class. Billionaires would rather see the world burn than see people taken care of. They would rather see people die in a nuclear holocaust than see somebody given food, medicine, and a house. The people of China are strong and committed to defending socialism, even at the highest price. But the people of China cannot do it alone. The struggle against capitalism and imperialism is an international one. We here in the Imperial War have to stand with our Chinese comrades in solidarity against this illegal aggression. So I want to finish my speech with a chant. When our Chinese comrades are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When our Chinese comrades are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
Thank you all.
Hey, NATO
is under attack. What do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When China is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When China is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When Niger is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When Niger is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When Niger is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When Syria is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When Syria is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When Syria is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When the DPRK is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When the DPRK is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When the DPRK is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When Iran is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When Iran is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When Iran is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
All right. We think one of our speakers who is not from here, and I probably read him astray, went to the Walker Library, which is really too bad. John LaForge, who is actually let me just tell you who you're missing, who I screwed up, if you can't hear. What next year. We'll do it next. Unfortunately, we'll probably have to do it next year. Anyway, John LaForge is a long-time, almost lifelong, anti-nuke activist. And he's a part of Nuke Watch, which is up in Lott, Wisconsin, which has a wonderful publication you should look out for. And he has done innumerable nonviolent actions, which has ended him up in jail. He spent in total now up to 4 years in prison, not all at one time, but the various. And one judge, Miles Horn, actually put him on parole. So I'm sorry that we can't give him John LaForge. Nobody wants to other people. This is a big loss in John LaForge. So, but we're ending a change. This is great news, everybody. It's not all doom and gloom, because you know what the UPS workers did, right? And they want to do great, yeah. You're going to hear in a minute, so I won't give it away. Anyway, Shane is here, and he's got great news. Shane is with UPS, and it's going to tell us where it's at with the settlement and with the whole thing of the strike, which is not happening right now. So that's probably the worst thing that should be in the game about. Whatever. We're going to win.
Hey, everybody. My name is Shane Clune. All right, I'm a member of Minnesota Workers United. I'm a member of Freedom Road Socialist Organization, and I am a Teamster with Local 638 at UPS. Most importantly, I am a proud, militant, fighting member of the working class. So, everybody has been watching the news for the last few weeks. I think most people in this country have learned more about labor contracts and everything in the last couple of weeks than, they may have heard their whole life, right? So, if you haven't been keeping up, we just settled a contract at UPS. Very close to going on strike. That strike would have been one of the biggest strikes in U.S. history. Would have been the biggest single employer strike in about 15 years, right? We took it all the way to the edge, and we ended up getting some pretty big concessions from the company, right? We got rid of 2-year drivers. We got 8 trucks. We got overtime protection. We got pretty huge raises for part-time. Now, is this a contract that's going to meet all our needs? Of course not, because we live under fucking monopoly capitalism. There is no employment arrangement under monopoly capitalism that will give workers what they need, right? If we want that, we have to take it. We have to fight for it. But the way that we won the things that we won was by fighting, by working people standing up, rank and file UPSers, Teamsters, kicking ass out on the front lines and organizing each other, right? And if we can do that, there's a lot more that we can do, right? Now, I talk about monopoly capitalism because that's what we're really talking about here. When we talk about imperialism, right? Imperialism is monopoly capitalism on the world stage. It is what the bosses of monopoly capitalism want and how they get what they want from other countries, right? And that manifests in our detriment. Even if we live in a country with a high wage, those high wages come from the super exploitation of the victims of imperialism, right? The global south. They're only, like our U.S. monopoly capitalists are only able to make so much money because of the crimes that they commit in other countries. And they have the right to do those crimes because of the U.S. military and NATO. That is where this comes from, right? If we look at Ukraine, look at Iraq. The war in Iraq, following the U.S. Invasion and occupation, the country was forcibly put under a neoliberal economic order, right? As Ukraine tries to make itself a more attractive ally. He wants to make itself a more attractive vassal for the United States, for the West. It's turning its own country into the playground for Western investment. That is what is at stake here, right? And that means that as workers, as working class organizers, as revolutionaries, want a better world for ourselves, we cannot stop at our own borders. Labor in the U.S. needs to become internationalist. We need to support the fight of other countries. they are trying to commit horrible crimes against people all over the world, and we need to stand up against our own military that makes all this shit possible, right? Because without that, they don't have the ability to enforce this unfair, exploitative economic world order. So we need to stand up, right? Labor cannot stop by being patriotic, by being American. We need to recognize that as workers in the United States, we have more in common with a worker in Iran, a worker in North Korea, a worker in China, or a worker in Cuba than we have with the manager of a hedge fund in New York, or the owner of a defense company, or any fucking politician that says they're standing with you, right? Our only allegiance is to the working class, and we have to fight for them. So if you want to learn more about being a militant worker, a militant rank and filer in your union, or maybe you're trying to start your own union, I'm going to encourage you to come to a Minnesota Workers United meeting. We have one on the 21st, that's a Monday at 7 o'clock. Come find me, I'll give you a flyer. But I want to finish this off with a chant, right? When the workers of the world are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When the workers of the world are under attack, what do we do? When the workers of the world are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you so much. An announcement upcoming this week from MIRAC, Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee, on Thursday at 5:30 at on the border. My own friend. What? I don't know what it is. Yeah, what's it called? We're going to protest border militarization at Lake in Chicago at 5:30 on Thursday with MIRAC. It's really important. You all know the border show that's going on at the border. So anytime we can get out and stand with our siblings from Mexico and Latin America, we need to do it. So see you at Lake in Chicago at 5:30 on Thursday. 5:30 Thursday. All right. There are a lot of people, a lot of groups actually that have endorsed and participated in this protest because people obviously understand the importance of saying no to a proxy war with Russia, saying no to a war with China, and just generally to say U.S. hands off the world, right? So I'm going to give you, this is going to go on for a while, just to show you the depth of the anti-war movement in this town is substantial. So thanks everybody for being here and for being part of it. This will have a few more chance and wrap it up for today. Oh, Liz, how can I forget? Yes, we have one more speaker. All right. Anti-war advocate from Minnesota Congressional District 2. Give a cheer after each one. Anti-war committee. Minnesota. Flag Alliance for Peace Midwest Support Network. Socialist Organization, Mayday Books, Minneapolis St. Paul Hiroshima and Nagasaki Commemoration Committee, Minnesota War Tax Register, Republic for a People's Democracy, and Youth Watch. And there's more. Party for Socialism and Liberation Minneapolis, Party of Communist USA, St. Paul Eastside Neighbors for Peace, Socialist Action, Socialist Party USA, Twin Cities Local, Twin Cities Osage Defense, Veterans for Peace, Chapter 27, they're in the corner over there, Welfare Rights Committee, so actually when Senator was talking about John LaForge wasn't misplaced, we misplaced him. He's actually going to be speaking tomorrow early morning. I've got flyers if you're really interested, because there's a whole commemoration about the U.S. Nuclear bombings in Japan. So it's Sunday the 6th
at 7:30 a.m. at the Highland Park Peace Garden in Lake Harriet. So if you're really interested in hearing him, come and get a flyer. And so once again, I want to thank everyone for coming. We do have the Anti-War Committee speaker, Liz, she's going to talk about military funding. Because you know, Congress keeps saying that we need to give more money to the military, even though they're the highest funded department in this country. So if you find all the other forces in the world for their military funding, we still exceed them. So Liz, come on over. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me know if you can't hear me. Is this good? All right, I'm just going to dive right in then. In his Beyond Vietnam speech, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. declared, "A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual doom." Indeed, if an individual's budget can be said to betray their moral compass, the U.S. military budget is a scathing indictment of this empire's core values. Since 9/11, Pentagon spending has totaled $14 trillion, with up to half of that amount siphoned off to military contractors. The approved $886.3 billion Pentagon budget for fiscal year 2024 surpasses 2023's already astronomical $847 billion price tag. Last November, the Pentagon failed its 5th audit. Imagine the penalties that would befall a taxpayer who failed just one audit. The defense industry fails 5 times and gets rewarded with more money. Even ostensibly progressive politicians throw their weight behind our military-industrial complex. Only 11 senators have suggested that next year's Pentagon budget be reduced, and then only by a measly 10%. Last fall, 30 congressional Democrats signed Representative Jayapal's plea for the U.S. to promote negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. That letter didn't even propose reducing U.S. aid to Ukraine. But even so, within 24 hours, Jayapal retracted the letter and backtracked on its demands. In the weeks to follow, letter co-signers, progressive, quote-unquote, darlings Ocasio-Cortez and Omar began independently lashing out at their war-weary constituents using tired Putin puppet rhetoric. The U.S. has no lesser evil party where warmongering and war profiteering are concerned. During the Trump era, none of the starry-eyed reveries about Obama mentioned just having dropped a bomb every 20 minutes for 8 straight years, or launching 563 drone strikes compared to war criminal George W. Bush's 57, or pacifying public calls for Guantanamo to be shut down, or prolonging the criminal war on terror. The average American is kept in the dark about how much our military terrorizes the entire world. Cozy relations between the defense industry and mainstream media outlets ensure that news headlines prioritize American exceptionalist fantasy over objective reality. Since 9/11, U.S. initiatives in war zones like Yemen, Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan killed at least 4.5 million people and displaced 38 million more. U.S. citizens are discouraged from acknowledging the many serious provocations made by NATO and the United States for decades preceding Putin's invasion of Ukraine. We're assured that the best way to stand with innocent Ukrainians is by issuing $125 billion and counting to an indefinite, unwinnable war that's slaughtering those same Ukrainians, destabilizing their region, carrying tangible consequences for millions, if not billions, of human beings, and threatening nuclear war. As if banging war drums in Russia weren't bad enough, both political parties are foaming at the mouth to cross flaming red lines with China. Last year, Congress approved $10 billion to potentiate a record proxy war in Taiwan. This month, the Biden administration will approach Congress for Taiwan-directed arms funding of an undisclosed amount through a U.S. taxpayer-funded movement. The U.S. government denies taking sides in the subject of occupied Palestine, even though it's gifted Israel more cumulative foreign aid than it has any other state in the world. Self-described proud Zionist Joe Biden has $1.8 billion to Israel every year, along with cushy trading and loan benefits. Strong Israel relations shield Israel from accountability for its many war crimes. While American tax dollars go towards perpetuating incalculable suffering, death, and ecological devastation abroad, we're being financially squeezed from every direction here at home. Homelessness rates are at an all-time high. The average American adult is over $68,000 in debt, often in spite of just one job. Food prices are through the roof. Child care costs a small fortune. Affordable health care is out of reach for millions of Americans. Our infrastructure has been in shambles for decades. All the while, the world is quite literally catching fire. This brings me to my final point. Biden may be the last US president who fought at concealing catastrophic fallout from the climate crisis. But while his administration and accomplishments have themselves in the back for greenwashing initiatives, half-measure climate policies that handsomely reward the fossil fuel industry, they vote rank and file to beef up the planet's largest institutional supporter, the United States military. Our society isn't just approaching spiritual doom. It's been assisted by that for generations. And if our leaders continue along our current trajectory, the U.S. empire will potentiate actual doomsday by igniting nuclear war and/or by accelerating the climate catastrophe past the point of no return. This is why we demand money for climate protection, not for war. Money for health care. Money for housing, money for education, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Now some chanting and then we'll be on our way.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want another war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Protest now, it's not too late. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want another war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Protest now, it's not too late. Say 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want another war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Protest now, it's not too late. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want another war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Protest now, it's not too late. No sanctions, no bombing, no war. We ain't gonna take it no more. No sanctions, no bombing, no war. We ain't gonna take it no more. No sanctions, no bombing, no war. We ain't gonna take it no more. No sanctions, no bombing, no war. We ain't gonna take no more. No sanctions, no bombing, no war. We ain't gonna take no more. Hey, NATO, you are done. Job was over at 91. Hey, NATO, you are done. The job was over at 91. Hey, NATO, you are done. The job